Good evening. We are now a week on from Miranda Lambert at Country to Country. Jamie is still suffering from it because he's
it's a different type of suffering to what it was last week, because I, like a few other people, picked up an unwanted extra treat from BO2 over the weekend, and after 2 years of avoiding it, the Rona finally got me. So the joys of staying at home await me for at least the next. I think it's like 5 days, maybe 6 days in total, but I'm not entirely sure. But I tested positive yesterday, had no symptoms. Saw a lot of other people testing positive. Was due to go out last night. Thought, I'll be a good human being and just check. And it's like, oh shit, I've got 2 red lines. So I've either got COVID or I'm pregnant. And I was hoping it wasn't the latter. So I phoned my boss. It's like, hi, I'm not coming into the office for the next week and a half. So yeah, but I've been very busy.
You have been very busy. So I was going to say, my inbox has been filled over the last couple of days with about 6 interviews typed up, ready to go online from across the C2C weekend.
It was just the whole sort of normally you sort of you have the list of transcribe this, transcribe this, transcribe this, and it's just the whole once you get into it, it's fine, but when you just have them all stacked up, it's this is my entire next week. But when I finished work yesterday and today, I've just sort of been bang bang. I've gotten done so quick. I don't know what it is. It's just, I don't know. I've just been in full flow. In fact, full flow is a different thing. Now we're kind of going back to talking about being pregnant again. But yeah, no, it's been cool. But yeah, so we put the first one out already. Was my chat with Kaitlyn Smith, which talks a lot about making coffee and drinking coffee, but she also told us
the difference of Starbucks from here to America.
Exactly, it's a big issue. It's a reoccurring theme when I chat to people that are coffee connoisseurs. So that one's out, and we've got a couple more on the way. So one with Kaitlyn Smith, one with Lacey K. Booth, one with Tiara, which is a really, really, I think, a really great read, and one with Tayday, which I was amazed at how much more interesting music stuff actually came out of that interview. Because
you mean we didn't just talk about football for 25
minutes?
Yeah,
I was going to say that was pretty much what it felt like. We just talked about football and just randomness, but in the end, we've got a pretty cool piece. And then and the last one will be my wonderful whole encompassing review of the festival. Currently I'm up to 4 get-ins when I'm sort of describing it. So yeah, that should be fun, and that's coming. But festival's gone. It's other things to look forward to, I guess.
There is lots to look forward to, and we've got quite a long list today of new music, show announcements, festival announcements. There's been quite a bit going on. Where are we starting?
Let's go with the festivals.
Let's go with festivals. Okay. So we had all the tour announcements and things. A lot of tour announcements came out last week. Obviously, news, don't know if it was yesterday or this morning, is Morgan Wade. So it must have been this morning, actually. Morgan Wade has sold out one night at the Garage already in London. So she's added a second date for that show, which is incredible for her to obviously be making that jump already, which is great to see. I know we're big.
The Garage is a decent size as well. Downstairs, that's probably about 800 to 1,000 cap, I guess, down in that big room, thinking about it.
I would think so. It is a decent size, but I think that's great for her to have had that sort of slot at C2C and obviously made such an impact on people there, which is brilliant. Obviously, we had the British Country Music Festival lineup announced.
Yeah.
We both kind of raised our eyebrows at some of the names on it.
It's interesting. There's some cool stuff on there because obviously you've got Jess Moskowitz coming back over to play it, which is really cool because we've sort of said how well she went down at C2C. You've got Amy Wadge, who's obviously this monster songwriter that's kind of done so much things on there. And then you've got Tom O'Dell and Lucy Spraggan as kind of the two big names on there. And they're not really names that to me kind of scream out UK country or country music.
I did have
or
to text
whatever.
you, didn't I, to say, are they country music? Because I never really come across them as country artists.
Yeah. But Tom O'Dell's decent, really good, but I think that'd be quite cool to see. But it's just like, okay, different. But yeah, good on them for doing that. There's other cool people on that bill as well. I think Tim Protty Jones is on there.
Yeah, there's a lot of those sort of the mainstay UK artists on there, which is good to see as well. Them getting that kind of shot, and again, especially when you think of people like Tom O'Dell and Jess Moskowitz, them getting to perform on the same bill as them, that's a really kind of big boost for the artists over here. And then the other one that I found out about on Tuesday night and was announced, I think yesterday, was that Nashville meets London are back with their boat cruise on August 19th. They haven't announced an artist, but they have confirmed DJ Hish is coming back, and Spracklin will obviously be introducing it all on the evening. So we'll be hitting the Thames in the middle of summer. That sounds like one hell of an evening to be at, I think, there.
I just had to remove the stationery from out of my reach, because when I listened back to it last week, I noticed that was quite annoying for a lot of it, where I was just sort of dropping the pencil on the desk like that. So I've had to put it out of my reach because it's like that. And the other thing I've noticed, and I did it kind of when we were talking then, that because of like the time sort of delay and stuff, like when you've sort of said something and I'm trying to establish have you stopped, I just go, yeah. And then kind of leave about 5 seconds of silence. And I'd actually done that in one of the interviews I'd listened back to. I can't remember which one it was. It might have been Callista or it might have been Lacey, but there's one of them where there's a point where they've said something and they kind of, I'm not sure they stopped. And when they sort of did, just gone, yeah. And that was literally kind of like the whole sort of like panic of like, right, I need to start talking again.
That's what editing's for. You just cut it all out. You can cut all that bit out. That's fine.
Well, no, like I say, but I've removed the stationery, which I've, made myself aware of to make sure I don't just be like, because I'm just like a child and I can't sit still. And, so I put that out of the way.
Fine. As the teacher, I'll tell you off for fiddling in class. It's fine.
Yeah, I put my hands on my head.
We need to get you a fidget spinner while we sit here.
So that's British Country Music Festival. Morgan's added a second date at the garage. I'm trying to think of anything else just in terms of like
National Meets London. It has been quite, like I say, a decent week for announcements. But obviously, I think the highlights all came last week when we found out about all these tours in the first place, kind of thing, and these guys coming back and announcing it. Obviously, while they're here, is brilliant stuff for us all.
Yeah. It's been quite a mental day though in terms of like new releases though. It's like been nuts because like last week and the weeks before there hadn't really been too much at all really, not just because of CT but just in general.
That's the thing. I think it's obviously with ACM awards and things. I don't think people really released music that weekend.
Yeah,
and as we said, I think we were in such a bubble last weekend. We weren't really aware of what came out anyway. So there probably was a bit more than we knew of. But yeah, there does seem to be some big releases, album announcements today. Where are you going to start off at? Well,
the big ones, obviously, Hayley Whitters with her, her sophomore record Raised, which I think it's one of the best records that people will hear this year. To me, it's just a very sort of very sort of cool, trendy sort of like 90s like Dixie Chicks kind of like Fly era meets kind of like the early sort of Casey Musgraves type sound. I just think it's a cool record, and like when we spoke to her, it was something that she'd said that she'd almost made this record before she wanted to make the first one, but kind of so the whole difficult second album concept didn't really come about. But it's really cool. I think, to be honest, she's the one person that hasn't announced more UK dates later this year that I really want to, because I didn't get to see her on the Sunday. But the album's immense, you know, just all the way through. It's got a really cool like instrumental like intro and outro. You know, there's a collaboration with American Aquarium on there, and just the whole thing just sort of flows beautifully to, you know, sort of, you know, tell a full story. And it's so her. It's so, I say, it's just such a cool record to listen to kind of for any time. And like, if you're into like, you know, the whole sort of early, you know, Natalie Maines and the sisters, what they were sort of doing with, you know, the big records when the chicks were dominating everything, it's definitely one that people are going to dig.
So I think, I say, obviously top on a lot of playlists today would have been the Carrie Underwood track, Ghost Story, which I'll be quite sure, if you really like Carrie Underwood, you'll love it. If you're not a Carrie Underwood fan, you'll say it just sounds like a Carrie Underwood song.
That's kind of what the impression that I haven't listened to it, but that was kind of the impression I'd sort of got from like the clip it, you know, the little clips. It's like, you know, it sounds really horrible to say it's a generic Carrie Underwood song, but you know, it's, you know, if you hadn't heard, if you hadn't heard a Carrie Underwood new song and you had a preconception of what it was going to sound like, you know, from the sort of what people have seen on, I've seen on socials and like the clips I've heard of it, it does sort of fit that mold. But it'll be big, and you know, any generic Carrie Underwood song is a great song, is what it's going to be. So you know, say it's probably going to be tipping a lot of playlists. What else have I got? Oh my God, Neil Towns and Nate Smith with this.
So Nate Smith, not a name I'm too familiar with.
Just an absolutely gorgeous duet is what it is. Yeah, like when there was sort of like an e-card that came over from the publishers yesterday, and it's like, okay, wasn't expecting this. Listen to it, like, oh my God, I don't want to go to heaven. It's just wow. It's just so it really is just such a gorgeous, beautiful song, and how that duet works with their two voices together. You know, similar to you, I don't know. Nate Smith's not someone I know a huge amount about, but you know, it's such a gorgeous track. Really, really is.
Then, obviously, we had a big Canadian takeover this year at C2C. Going back to one of the original Canadian artists at C2C, High Valley are back. And they released a single today called Somebody Tell That Girl. And they've also announced the album Way Back is coming out on May 20th. As ever, Brad Rempel, the lead singer, his brother has now left the band, so it is now just one of the brothers, has a writing credit on every single track, which I always find quite impressive in a time where there's so much. Sorry, Leeds have just come back from 2-0 down in about 5 minutes.
Who scored?
I don't know. Hoping it's not Rafinha if you've got him.
Anyway, we were talking about High Valley's new music.
Anyway, back to what I was talking about. Definitely not got the TV on at the same time. So yeah, so Brad Rempel, I say he's got a songwriting credit on every single track, which I always find to say quite impressive at this time when there is kind of so many talented songwriters around and so many bands do reach out for songwriters. But even still, we've got obviously the track today features Ann Wilson. There's another track on it that will feature Granger Smith. There's writing credit for Phil Barton. I think it's going to be, again, it'll definitely be a very popular release, I think, once that album comes out in May.
Yeah. There's been a couple of like album announcements and stuff we've had this week and kind of today. So Kaitlyn Smith's first part of her kind of releases this year, so High, which is the first EP, will come out on April the 8th. Then the following week on April the 15th, Eric Paslay bringing out what sounds like a really sort of cool album called Even If It Breaks Your Barefoot Friday Night, which is sort of just revisiting a lot of the songs that, you know, anyone that's seen Paslay live, where he's done a lot of the songs he's had cut by other people, as well as his own songs. So, you know, with there, you've got Even If It Breaks Your Heart was Eli Young Band, Barefoot Blue Jean Night was Jay Cohen, and Friday Night he obviously did himself, but also Lady A. So it's kind of one of those, bringing a lot of those songs together. So that's on the 15th. And then on April 22nd as well, Rumour, who's going to be playing at the Long Road Festival later this year, which is really, really cool because she's now living back in the UK after, spending time living in the States. She's got a new album. It's her first kind of album apart from her Hugh Prestridge album she put out last year. It's her first album for probably about 3 or 4 years. So it's B-Sides and Rarities Volume 2 coming out on April 22nd. And the first single from that, Old Fashioned Girl, is out, available for streaming today. So yeah, we've got some cool records and stuff coming out. And as well,
talking of April 22nd, there's one more that I just remember comes out that date. Charlie Crockett has got an album, Jukebox Charlie, coming out that day as well, which looks like it's kind of interweaving a few old classic country songs and some new tracks as well.
Yeah. And then the following Friday, so the 29th, is Miranda's album kind of coming to in April. So April's quite a cool month in terms of releases. And I think, we've got a Marin Records kind of pretty imminent as well. So, this, Q2, I guess we're sort of coming into, when it gets into there, is going to be quite exciting, from the get-go with that. I've got a couple of other ones that came out today. Randall King's put his first full-length album out today, Shot Glass, which a lot of people seem to be really loving. I haven't really listened to as much music today as I should have, because I just felt a little bit kind of rough a little bit this morning, had to work and just trying to get on to get some of his interviews done. There's Ray Wiley Hubbard. He's put out his co-starring record as well today, which has got some really, really cool features on there. Some really, interesting people kind of getting on there. So that's definitely worth a listen for people as well. And then the other one I saw was Donovan Woods, who's another really cool guy, another Canadian artist that's great, and he's put out his Big Hurt Boy EP that came out today. So there's loads, and and there's more things I kind of just sort of got down seeing. Like Sam Outlaw put out a brand new track. He's obviously on tour with Ruthie Collins at the minute. And I think they're in Milton Keynes tonight. They're in Carshalton tomorrow, and they're Oxford, Glasgow, all those sort of things. But he put a brand new track out called Lonely Man that wasn't kind of on his album he brought out last year. So it's great. He's got some new stuff on there. Julia Cole put out the acoustic version of Phoenix as well. That's kind of been floating around from today for the first time. Our buddy Andrew Jones, get well soon as well, because like me, he was a victim of the Rona from the weekend. He's put out Broadway Lights, so definitely check out, support Jonesy. It's a great track. He's a great guy, and like we've kind of done all along that the UK guys that deserve it and that work hard. We want to help support them and stuff, and it's great to kind of see that that Andy's kind of back putting music out and things as well. And have I got any more? Oh, and I've left the best one till last, actually. Megan Lindsay. Oh my God, this track, If You Need Me, Don't, is what the song's called. She did like a single launch in Nashville last night that I saw kind of a couple of people posting about, which looked really cool. This track is amazing. It's definitely one for people to check out. It's so like old school, kind of like full on bluesy as a track. She was somebody that kind of people may have seen through kind of the reality platforms, but she's been sort of working as a musician for a long time and things. Really, really well respected in Nashville. Just a gorgeous, incredible voice. And I say this new track of hers, If You Need Me, Don't, is definitely something that if you get the chance to listen to, do. You know, an amazing artist. For anyone that doesn't check her out, you know, have a little listen on Spotify and, you know, all that sort of thing. You'll be absolutely blown away. So, you know, Megan Lindsay, definitely, you know, another great one that I nearly forgot about.
And look at that. We managed 20 minutes, 95% talking about country music.
I know. Well, I think I was going to say 95% country music and about 5% talking about Leeds pulling a goal back, and then me trying to decide whether I was pregnant or had COVID. So, yeah. Like,
I think that's
winner.
We're getting better at this.
I know. It's almost as if that by making notes and having plans means that we actually have a bit of structure in terms of what we're doing.
Who would have thought? Less notes next week. Too many notes.
I was going to say it's too many notes. There won't be as many releases next week. It's just that, like you say, I think it's just been mental because obviously we had the sort of with the ACMs and kind of everything else sort of going on. It's like, you know, it's been quiet for a couple of weeks, so it's just kind of everyone's like, now, go, get in, get stuff out. So,
well, that is us for this week, isn't it?
That is us for this week.
I think we treated everyone to an hour on Monday, so it'll be nice on Friday night.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot more listenable because it's the whole sort of thing that people won't get bored as quickly. And this is the sort of thing that when you're sat on the train, you can listen to. And hopefully we've chucked you out some new things you can put on your playlist is what we're hoping to do with these. So, but yeah, hopefully I'll be...
Where we'll be next Friday, what will be coming out next Friday, what news we'll have by next Friday as well.
Winner. See you all later.
Thank you all very much. Good night.